everyone, and welcome to the Council of the Whills. As you can hear, we are so excited about The Last Jedi with our porgs, so we'll be talking about that today. I'm Jen.
I'm Jane.
I'm Amber.
Porgs!
Porgs!
We're not really talking about porgs.
Because unfortunately they don't show up that much in the international trailer or TV reactions or any of the interviews this week. It's still the same porg screaming.
It's so cute.
So, is it just me, or did the porgs scream in the international trailer? Did they adjust the levels? Because I'm like, that doesn't sound right. It sounds really, really quiet in comparison to Chewie. And I normally don't care, but it's a porg, and it's cute, and I want to hear it.
I think they cut it down, is what they did. It's not as long as in the actual trailer. Or not the actual trailer, but the American trailer.
Gotcha.
How dare they?
If you're going to make me give you all of my money, Disney, for a porg, then make the scream as loud as possible.
Yes.
I also got my Kylo Ren and my BB-90 Funko Pops. So I had a good shopping day finally.
I need to get the BB-90 for reasons that we will talk about in our shipping episode.
If you can, there is at Best Buy a BB-8 and BB-90 combo pack.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Yep.
I want to go to there.
Most of the exclusives are still in stock. Like I got a Walgreens Praetorian exclusive, the Best Buy exclusive. There was another one. DJ is still available at GameStop, so a lot of the exclusive ones you can still get your hands on.
That's kind of a thing for the record. Walgreens and GameStop and Best Buy have been getting a bunch of exclusives, and I don't think a lot of people know, because I definitely was in Walgreens, I think last month with one of my friends, and he pointed out to the Praetorian Guard. He's like, "This is a Walgreens exclusive." I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I was there a couple days ago buying sugar, because my stupid job can't keep sugar in stock for the coffee, so I was buying sugar, and I turn around and there's this entire Star Wars display, and I'm like, it was such a shock.
It is really weird to think of buying like toys or Star Wars stuff at Walgreens, but it's there. I definitely on Halloween bought a Last Jedi Rey action figure because it was also in the Halloween aisle with all the discounted stuff, and I was like, oh no, I guess I'm gonna buy it. Darn!
Ironically, the most difficult exclusive one to get is Walmart has a Last Jedi Leia that I want. It's Leia on crate. You can get them on eBay, and they're super cheap. But I went to 3 different Walmarts, and 3 different employees at 3 different Walmarts told me, Walmart has never carried Funkos before in your life. We have no idea what you're talking about. Like, are you stupid? You guys always have Funkos. I buy Funkos from here.
They probably know them as, like, pop vinyls versus Funkos, and so they just don't know what they're talking about.
Well, I would find somebody, like, in the toy area, because there were times when I was working at Barnes & Noble a bajillion and a half years ago, because, for those of you who don't know, Barnes & Noble is a bookstore.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Anyway,
What the fuck is this, though? It's the box... It's Last Jedi, but she's labeled as Princess Leia?
I know, she needs to be General Leia.
Or is that something that's going to happen in Last Jedi?
True.
Because we do get Amy Lynn, what's her name? Holdo. And Holdo knows her as Princess Leia. So potentially we're going to get a lot of sort of like C-3PO where, you know, she's being referred to as Princess Leia by people actively in the universe who know she's not Princess Leia at the moment, but don't think of her as Princess Leia.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, what's weird...
Yeah, I'm just not feeling it.
I don't know, maybe it's because she came in the Star Wars universe as a princess and they're sending her out as a princess, you know?
Oh.
I don't know. Princess General.
Every time I refer to Leia, I call her, Princess Senator General Leia Francis Amidala Organa Skywalker Solo.
Well, her middle name is Amidala, apparently.
And on another birth certificate thing after Carrie died, they said that her middle name was Francis. So I'm like, I'm fine with this.
Feel free to point me to this. Somewhere it's also noted that Luke's middle name is Anakin, and I'm like, wait, when did these middle names start popping up, and why are they existing? Because I did not know about them, and well,
I didn't think that middle names existed in the Star Wars universe. Like, I was kind of like that would be because okay, straight up, when Padme is on her deathbed, she says Luke and she says Leia. All right, she
exactly.
doesn't add Amidala to it. She doesn't add Anakin to it. Like, unless Bale was like, her middle name's Amidala, and Owen
and the
was
boys
like,
is Anakin.
his middle name is Anakin. Like, hey, Owen, you remember the last time Anakin was here? He slaughtered a bunch of sand people, right?
Well, to be fair, it might be Obi-Wan then doing the middle naming. Like, let's be real. He probably is like, oh, I need to leave a little secret hint for Leia as to who her mother is, just in case she ever questions. Her name is Leia Amidala Organa, whatever. And then is like, oh, well, Luke needs to know about his father, so you're Luke Anakin Skywalker.
I mean, like, if he did anything of note in the universe before becoming this Jedi, like, Darth Vader would have been like, Luke Anakin Skywalker, I wonder if that's my kid.
Yeah, that's the other one. There's a Luke Skywalker in Tatooine. Interesting. Oh, his middle name's Anakin.
Well, yeah, like, he wouldn't have known anything about the Luke thing unless he and, I mean, I can't imagine, like, him and Padme sitting there like, well, maybe Luke for a boy and Leia for a girl, and then when he hears of Luke Skywalker, he's like, coincidence.
I mean, I could see kind of the prequel discussion. I could see Anakin Skywalker sitting down with Padme and being like, all right, if it's a boy, we'll name him this. And if it's a girl, we'll name her this. And they have like a discussion about names. Because Padme comes off with them like right off the bat. And I'm like, you're dying, sweetheart. You had those in the back of your pocket.
Well, that's the thing is, I don't know if Anakin would have ever been like, oh yeah, let's talk baby names. Because all he could think about was, Padme's going to die in childbirth. Fuck this kid.
Well, probably like right when he's still happy before he started having the dreams.
Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, so about our trailers and stuff that we're actually supposed to be talking about.
So in the segue, we don't see a lot new in the new international trailer.
Yeah, it's pretty standard.
I know people were really looking forward to it because in the Force Awakens and the Rogue One international trailer, a lot of information was revealed and divulged. And in this one, you can tell like Lucasfilm is just really trying to be really tight-lipped. They're not really showing us anything new.
Yeah, and it's like one new scene of Rey, I think. Other than that, it's everything we've seen. We see the Porg, we hear Poe's speech. That's about it. Which is interesting because what it makes me think is that a lot of the footage from the movie is stuff that we're going to be like when we see it, and Lucasfilm is trying to keep that under wraps as much as possible.
I can definitely see that. Well, how did Mark Hamill put it? They want the surprise to be in theaters, not on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And Adam Driver also said he would rather have everybody going into this movie with seeing nothing. No trailer, no nothing.
Well, too bad for you.
Well, what's interesting about the international trailer, though, is even though the international trailer itself didn't really give us a whole lot, we got a pretty interesting international poster from Japan. And a pretty interesting description about the movie. And what is important to note is that in Japanese advertising for movies and film, it's much more of, I don't want to say a big deal, but it's very expensive to go to the movie theater in Japan. And they're not as spoiler phobic, for lack of a better word, as we in the West are. Because it's so expensive to go to the movie theater, the audience wants to know what's going on. The audience wants to know as much about the movie as possible so that they don't waste all their time and all their money on a movie that they don't like. I studied Japanese for 2 years at a community college, and while I'm terrible at reading and writing it, I can understand a decent amount. I'm really rusty, but I could understand a decent amount of like spoken Japanese.
And doesn't I think I saw not posted anywhere like public, just from a friend on Facebook, was translating the trailer or the poster, and the wording at the top says light or darkness.
I have a very, 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 very rough translation of it, and the meat and potatoes of it is that it's going to focus on Kylo Ren and Rey's relationship, and that there's, oh fuck it, I'll read it verbatim. A shocking new, never before seen Star Wars movie. Rey, whose force powers recently awakened. Kylo Ren, who wants to succeed Darth Vader. What will Luke Skywalker's return bring them? Rey and Kylo shift between the light and the dark. What, quote, shocking destiny awaits them? The light or the darkness, Rey and Kylo, two souls who seem to shift between two sides of the Force. A shocking development awaits them in Star Wars The Last Jedi. The world was shocked to see that the hand offered to Rey was that of Kylo Ren. The light or the dark? That is the question that awaits them together as they are tossed and pulled by the two sides of the Force. And that's as much coherently as this translation goes to. Japanese is really weird. Everything is subjective. There's only two tenses, so when you have to translate stuff like this, it's really, really difficult to get a literal English translation, like a one-for-one English translation.
Yeah. Interesting. That, I mean, oh, well, because we're going to be talking about, like, all of the TV spots this week and that have come out recently. Mm-hmm. One thing that I pointed out to a few people is you don't see any of the new characters. You haven't seen Rose. You haven't seen Amy Lynn. You haven't seen DJ in any of the trailers.
That's not true.
Wait.
Oh,
what?
No, the trailers, sure. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the trailers, we haven't seen them. We've seen them in pictures. We've had information dropped about them in pictures, but we haven't actually physically seen them. We haven't heard Rose speak, and we've seen Paige in the behind the scenes, and we've seen, I think, some behind the scenes of DJ, but we've never heard any of the new characters speak yet. And we've just heard Finn speak, and we've heard Poe speak, and we've heard everybody except Leia from the previous movies speak.
I don't know. I think they're really just trying to save all these new characters for the movie.
I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. Like, it definitely feels like they're trying to keep them more under wraps than just the characters we've already grown to know and love.
Well, isn't it smarter as a marketing move to really push the characters that we know and we're familiar with than putting all the eggs in these characters that we don't know anything about?
Yeah, from a marketing perspective, the only problem is, when you have, like, diehard fans that are sitting here and they're like, oh, hey, here's an expansion of our universe. We want to see these characters, and to, like, barely, like, not give them any screen time whatsoever. It's really difficult to, like, build that hype for these characters. It's going to be really hard to go into The Last Jedi for a lot of people to be like, woo, Haldo, woo, DJ, woo, Rose. Like,
which is why I'm like, you notice them bringing out the new people in specific events. Like Rose came to celebrate, or not Rose, Kelly Marie Tran came to Celebration, and Laura Dern came to D23 and Kelly Marie Tran. So I think they're slowly like bringing them in to the marketing interviews. So we're going to see more of them doing TV spots and talking about it. But I don't think we're going to see a lot of their characters, because you can have the actors get you hyped up for their characters and talk about their experiences, and you can be really excited to see that, because that's a new thing that you will have not seen in a trailer.
Yeah, Kelly just did an interview that was basically talking about like how like significant her character is in certain ways, and was talking about how she's got this like necklace that she wears, and it's going to end up being like significant to the plot somehow, or at the very least her plot, her arc. So I mean, it's interesting information, but at the same time, like, I just feel like we're not getting a whole lot about her.
Well, I think of the three, Rose has had the most, and Kelly Marie Tran has had the most exposure of the new cast, and I think that's supposed to coincide with the fact that she has the biggest new part.
Yeah, for sure. Has Benicio done any promotion whatsoever for this?
I don't know if Benicio knows he was in Star Wars.
Too much Heineken.
It's sort of like Mads Mikkelsen at times. I was like, did you know you were in Star Wars? I don't know.
Mads Mikkelsen has always seemed to me as the most hyper-aware person on the planet.
True.
Like, he feels very predatorial to me. That's fucked up, I guess.
No, but that kind of explains certain aspects. When I was watching that movie, I'm like, oh, that explains why I was kind of freaked out in more scenes than I should have been. I was like, this doesn't seem loving at all.
Well, I read somewhere that people were debating that we got a very brief shot of Benicio del Toro in The Last Jedi in the international, either it was in the international trailer or the behind-the-scenes reel with Rian Johnson, where Finn...
It's the behind-the-scenes, and it's in the scene with Rose and Finn.
Yeah, and they're infiltrated the First Order, and he has a hood up, but it's very clearly his character.
I don't think it's a hood. I think he's just wearing another Imperial, or not Imperial, another First Order uniform, just like them.
With like the duckbill cap.
Yeah, but it's very clearly his face. He has a very distinctive face, which I'm gonna feel like a real jackass if it ends up not being him.
Well, I think we also see him in the behind-the-scenes reel, like lounging out as DJ. The behind-the-scenes reel definitely had more of Canto Bight. It definitely had more of that, which still hasn't been in a trailer, really.
Yeah, no, they're keeping so much under wraps. Like, I feel like all we really know about the Resistance plot is that they end up on Crate, and that Finn and Rose and DJ go undercover. And you don't even know DJ from the trailers, so it's kind of like,
and the
I don't know, like
Poe Dameron speaks about rebellion.
I don't know, like, I'm really curious. I would love to just, like, talk to some, like, I always feel like an asshole when I say this, but, like, I would love to talk to, like, a casual fan, someone who isn't following anything, just to know what they think this movie is going to be about.
I can tell you that.
I mean, I kind of want to talk to my dad about it. Be like, hey, Dad, what do you think?
I talked to one of my coworkers, like, literally today, totally not meaning to, about it, and he's like, I have no fucking clue what's going to happen. This is like, imagine a tall, older gentleman with a full beard. Be like, I have no fucking clue what's going to happen. I don't know, but Rey's going to fuck shit up. I'm like, okay.
I mean, that sounds like a pretty accurate description to me.
Yeah. I know it's weird. Most of my friends are either pretty hardcore into it, or like my husband who lives with me, and he's just exposed to it by proxy.
I'm exposed by proxy.
Well, he hears what we say. He hears what we say sometimes, and it's so funny, and he's wonderful, and he's supportive, but we'll finish, and he's like, y'all need Jesus. And he's an atheist, oh, by the way. That's what makes it funny. Is that
I just need the Force.
It's Obi-Wan, don't you know?
Oh.
No, but, like, my boyfriend, he swears up and down. Like, he's one of those, he doesn't even like Star Wars all that much. Like, he doesn't dislike it, but he's not, like, super into it like I am. But he, like, watched that main trailer, and he was like, oh, yeah, that's totally misdirection. Like, they're gonna fight each other. They hate each other, Amber. Rey and Kylo Ren hate each other. And I'm like, you're so wrong.
Hey, on the day it releases, we'll know. We'll have all of this backed up in the dredges of the internet to prove we were there.
This is my scrapbook of receipts.
Oh my lord. But yeah, like it's really interesting because, you know, I'm going to be doing a television appearance to talk about Star Wars like 2 weeks before it comes out. And the host is supposedly like super into Star Wars. But really, he's just a Vader fanboy, so...
Which, okay, I think that describes a lot of Star Wars fans, and I don't mean this in a bad way. I mean, that's just how it is. And I think that's pretty cool that there's a lot of people that have kept, like, a love of Vader going strong since God knows how many years. But you're right, there's, like, the die-hard Star Wars fan, and then there's kind of a person who idolizes a single character Star Wars fan, and I'm not saying either is bad, but it is interesting to talk to the different types of people, and I think it's interesting to get their different perspectives on things, because every so often the one character fan is like, I hate this part of Star Wars because of this reason, and you're like, I don't see that, but okay.
Well, it's definitely good too to have a perspective that isn't so like ground in the details, where like people like us, we analyze everything. We go, okay, so this person is here, this person is there, the light source is coming from this side of their face, so does that mean it's coming, that the next shot is from the same scene? I mean, we analyze everything. And a casual fan is just like, okay, it looks good. But
Yeah.
it's nice to have that like perspective of being able to step back and see the big picture versus like the super fans who tend to analyze just every tiny little pixel on the screen.
Yeah, it's really interesting to actually hear what, just like, because, you know, like you said, we're analyzing everything, and so we're like, okay, well, this is what they're intending with this, and blah 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 blah. And we can say that this is what they're trying to put out into the world because of our analysis, but that doesn't mean that's what the general public is getting. And so it's good to like talk to casuals, to just be like, hey,
well,
what did you think of that scene?
Yeah, and it's also good to talk to like the one character fans, because they will know that one thing about that character that can translate into something of another character that you didn't even think about. And they'll remember that, one little tidbit that all of a sudden sparks this whole new theory in another universe of Star Wars. And it's fun talking to them, because you also can bounce ideas off of each other. Like, okay, well, this happened this way, but what about if this happened with these characters? They might know a little bit about them, so it's enough to try to explain your theories also.
For sure. So I think really the only thing we really got from the international trailer was the fact that Rey seems to clearly be talking to Luke when she's like, there's something inside me that's awoken.
I need help.
But is there anything else specifically in the international trailer that you guys want to talk about before we maybe move on to like the behind the scenes?
Not really. Like nothing new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that Rian Johnson behind, like directorial, for lack of a better word, behind the scenes, that was really interesting and really fun, and it makes me love Rian Johnson all the more, because just he seems so enthused and humble, and just he wants to make the best picture or movie he can make.
I think you can tell he had fun making it, which you don't see a lot of directors do all the time. Like, you can get the directors who are really excited about making this new movie in a franchise, but you don't see them actively doing press or doing behind the scenes that are like, yeah, I made a movie. And you can, even though he's actually like really quiet when you hear him talk and doesn't seem to get that excited, I think when he's at conventions, he's at his most excited. And
he definitely has like the fanboy vibe, and he's like, I can't believe someone let me touch the canon of this series.
Well, yeah. Didn't all three of us meet him at Celebration?
I was asleep.
I was trying to avoid the huge line because of my anxiety, and by the time the line dwindled down enough to where I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go do this, they were like, no more people. I'm like, God damn it, I did this for my anxiety.
I kind of like, I was like half asleep, half not. I'm like, oh, he said he's going to come into the line. It'll be fine. He'll come over to me and they'll wake me up. And then finally, when I knew I wasn't sleeping that much, I was like, oh, okay, I'll go over. And I got like one of the guys that was my line buddies with me. And I'm like, we're going to go. And we stand up and he starts waving goodbye. I'm like, no!
I was very, very, very lucky enough to meet him, and I didn't want to stand in the line because you knew he was going to be there all night. I was walking by him to go to the bathroom, and he stopped, and he's just like, hey, do you want me to sign your badge? He's so nice, and I can't even say that about him enough. He's so nice. And actually being up close to him, he was so scared and so nervous. He was sweating and shaking. Like, I just wanted to give him a hug because he just seemed so scared and so overwhelmed with the response that he got of just showing up. And everyone, there was 3,000 people waiting overnight, and half of the room just flocking to him and swamping him.
I mean, I messaged him on Instagram after that, like direct messaged him and said, hey, thank you so much for coming out to see the line. It was really great. I feel kind of bad because I chose, sleep over meeting you, but thank you again or whatever. And he like took the time to message me back and say, sleep is always good. I appreciate hearing you say that. Thank you very much.
I feel like a lot of his nervousness was probably because he knew that there may be some sort of backlash, especially for the way the teaser poster was.
Well, we didn't see anything until the next day.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you still.
Well, he knows. Like, he knew that entire time. He knows the entire movie, so he might have been nervous, being like, "Oh, these things."
Yeah, like I don't know. If I was him and I knew that something might be controversial, and like hear all these people coming to meet me like, oh, this is the guy that's going to make Rey Skywalker canon. And he's like, shit, nope, that's not what I'm doing. Like, I mean, I can only imagine how many people in that line were like, hey, I'm so glad you're going to do Rey Skywalker or Rey Solo, or man, I'm so glad that Kylo Ren and Rey are twins. And he's just like pulling at his collar like, shit, is this what people expect?
Want me to sign your badge?
Either way, he was just really kind and really courteous. And it looked like he was about to tear up on stage, like when Kathleen Kennedy was singing his praises, and she's known for not really being the easiest person to get along with, and she was just saying how wonderful he is. And he's just like getting all teary-eyed, and he seems so humble and down to earth and enthused about what he wants to do or what he does, and it's not an act. He seems sincere, and it's not an act.
Were there any scenes from behind the scenes that you were kind of like, oh, hey, that's interesting?
They showed some scenes on, that's where the DJ scene, like the one of him in his actual like robes going down. I think they showed a little bit more of Leia, or am I getting that mixed up with another trailer?
I mean, honestly, we've been gifted so much so recently that it's like, who knows anymore?
Yeah. I mean, it talks a little bit more about the animals, but not, it gave you just enough to be like, ooh, what's coming, but to not say, huh, that's a thing.
What's interesting is that they kind of talked about in the first behind the scenes, they talked about how Rian is just like so inventive and crazy and doing something so amazing, and they just continued that train of thought in this. Like, they were just like, oh, he's doing something so unexpected, and I'm like, Rian, what are you doing?
Don't play with my heart.
Quit playing games with my heart.
I'm so glad you started singing that, because that's exactly what
I just love how happy Rian Johnson is in this entire behind the scenes. I'm just gonna like kind of go through a couple of. I'm just gonna like watch the trailer real quick and kind of not the trailer, the behind the scenes real quick, just to see. What's interesting is that it seems like Rey and Poe are actually gonna have scenes, which has really just got the Gamma Ray shippers just in a flurry. Like, oh god, we're gonna get scenes. Our ship is Endgame, and I'm like, wow, low standards, but all right.
Well, doesn't all the Gamma Ray stem from the novelization where they meet once, Rey looks at him and goes, oh, he's kind of handsome, and then they walk off?
Rey finding him attractive is enough to base a ship around, I suppose. I can't talk. My ship's its enemies right now, but let's see. Oh, one of the things that I thought was really interesting, yeah, that's definitely Benicio del Toro. One of the things I thought was really interesting is that Rey seems to be using her staff in the scene where she's got her like training outfit on, the one she was wearing with the lightsaber before. And so I was kind of wondering if maybe like she just like gives him the lightsaber back and is like, whatever, I don't care, you can have it, and she just keeps her staff instead. Because I don't know. Does she have the lightsaber with her third act outfit other than in the promotional material?
Really thinking about it, I don't know. I see her with her staff more than I've seen her with the actual lightsaber.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So the only promotional material that I have like close to me, besides the internet, I have the Hasbro Black Series Luke and Rey pack that they were selling at Comic-Con. And she, in her training outfit, or not training outfit, I don't know. The one
her
with
hero outfit?
Hero outfit. I'm like, yeah, because her hero outfit comes with a lightsaber, the blaster, and her staff.
I just don't think I've seen her with her lightsaber in anything but promotional material when she's in her third act outfit.
No, we haven't, but we've only seen her third act outfit on screen once. Well, and behind the scenes.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all very confusing, but it's just interesting that we see her with both the lightsaber and her staff at night in what seems to be rain. So I'm just not sure if, I don't know. It's an interesting sort of thing. I'm like, does she pick up the staff first? Does she pick up the saber first? Does Luke like force pull the saber away from her? Does Kylo force pull the saber away from her? Like,
well, that kind of, it gets into the international trailer, or not the international trailer, but the international poster that we got this week too. And that was where we see Luke holding the saber. Rey is still on the poster and still prominent, but she's not holding it.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I'm really curious to see how it's going to play out. And actually, I'm just getting mad that I don't know how it's going to play out.
Well, at some point, it's implied that Rey and Kylo Ren, through the behind-the-scenes stuff, because you can see Daisy and Adam training against the guys who are the stuntmen for the Praetorian Guard.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
I wonder, I mean, she's using a stick. Do you think she's using her saber or the staff?
I'm not sure, because Adam uses the staff, not the staff, the saber, the practice saber.
Yeah.
And Daisy uses both. She uses the practice saber and she uses her staff.
Yeah, in the behind the scenes, we see her training with both. I just can't remember off the top of my head, and I don't actually feel like looking it up, so, yeah, I'm not really sure. That's the only thing that gets me, is I'm just not really sure why she has her staff and her saber in that same scene, in that same outfit. So I think that'll be interesting to see once we, actually get the movie, which, yay, what good speculation you're doing, Amber. So glad you have a podcast to say, this is a thing. Let's wait for the movie.
But to be fair, a lot of this marketing and speculation that we're doing, marketing that Lucasfilm is doing, because we are not doing any marketing, but speculation that we are doing is, you get to that point where I think we're at right now, and then you just go, well, wait till the movie to see what happens. And that's the point. So that way we're sitting there going, take my money, take my money.
I will say that something I think the behind the scenes with Rian gave us was confirmation that Rey is probably most likely talking to Chewie when she says, I need someone to show me my place in all this.
Yes.
Because they have a scene where they're lighting Chewie with very similar flickering firelight as Rey has in that, and she's wearing her Resistance outfit. So,
yeah, I do like still the game that cosplay communities are playing, which is, girl, what are you wearing this week?
She's not changing clothes that much. She's just taking off her jacket in one and then getting a second outfit in another.
And changing her armbands, and changing the gauntlets, and changing,
Well, that's because I'm starting to develop a theory that she has jacked up arms.
I'm starting to develop a theory that she's super excited she has more clothes, but she's only excited about certain aspects of the more clothes.
Yay, I get scarfy things again.
Yay, I have more arm wraps. And Luke is saying they're like, you have literally other things, and she's like, arm wraps!
It's so interesting. I love that third act outfit because it's still very much her. She's like, look, I'm still going to have these long, like, wraps. Or not wraps. I'm still going to have these long...
Tabards.
Tabards, that's what they're called. Which is very reminiscent of, her Jakku outfit. And...
I'm still having my arm wraps.
And still having her arm wraps. Like, she keeps very much to herself, just in a different color palette. that seems decidedly more gray.
Well, like what you said, Amber, the outsides reflect the insides, and if Rey and what the Japanese advertising is saying, they're going to definitely veer more towards the morally ambiguous, where good guys do bad things and bad guys do good things. So it would make sense if her costume kind of shifts gears and becomes a little more in the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't know. I'm just really excited to see, and I just want to know where she gets this outfit. You know, like I can at least draw conclusions that she got her resistance outfit from the resistance. You know,
Yeah.
but it becomes a question of where she gets these like other outfits. I'm like, come on, tell me.
Mood fabric. What?
Shut up.
Well, isn't there going to be a time jump in this one? Not the beginning, but I've read somewhere that there's going to be a time jump at some point in The Last Jedi.
I read that as well. I didn't know if that was a rumor or confirmed.
Gotcha.
I would. I think if there was going to be a time jump, it would be a time jump to the third act.
Yeah, I agree.
I would agree with that. I would assume, I don't know, because I know they go to crate almost instantly. Not instantly, I suppose, but Jedi Wine Trick, shout out, on Tumblr, did a pretty convincing, well-detailed, theorized timeline of it, and they propose that crate is actually more of a second act thing, which is something I've started developing my thoughts on as well. I think when we were talking about when the trailer dropped, I think I said that I changed my mind from it being a end of the movie to a more middle of the movie sort of thing. And so I think it would make sense if perhaps they have this big battle on crate, and then there's a time jump that kind of places different characters in different positions, because we see Finn in a gunner's outfit, but we don't see him in that gunner's outfit anywhere in the trailers, really. We see that he's basically wearing a jacketless version of his outfit when he's in the ship on crate. He's in a First Order uniform elsewhere. I don't think he's going to wear a gunner uniform to Canto Bight, so I can only assume that there's a time jump and he becomes a gunner for the Resistance sometime in the third act.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That would make sense, and it would also kind of fall into he's working closer with Rose and Paige Tycho, because Paige is a gunner, I think. What if Paige dies and is Rose's gunner, or Rose becomes a pilot just in her sister's honor but can't be a gunner, and Finn becomes her gunner?
I mean, I think I speculated back when the behind the scenes are first dropped, they showed someone in a gunner's outfit dropping through this huge storage shelf area thing full of bombs, and I assumed that was going to be Paige, and that Paige was going to die somehow, and that was going to spark Rose's whole journey with Finn. But I could see Finn as a gunner easily, because that's the role he kept playing when he was in different ships in The Force Awakens.
Yeah, I mean, the first time that he's leaving the First Order, which is with Poe, Poe's like, it's just like shooting a blaster. Go.
Yeah, he acts as a gunner for Poe, he acts as a gunner for Rey, he basically fulfills the gunner position for those two characters, and so it makes a lot of sense that he becomes a gunner at some point in the future, and so really curious to see when that exactly happens, because I just can't really place his outfit at any point besides the end of the movie, because we get very little from the third act, from what I can tell. I feel like we're getting almost nothing from the third act except Rey getting tortured by Snoke and potentially the Kylo holding his hand out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there really anything else we want to say about the Rian Johnson behind the scenes featurette?
No, I don't really think so, and I think we kind of got away from it anyway, so I think we're free to move on from it.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
Then do we want to go into the Awake trailer? Getting into speculation. I mean, we're getting into speculation. I think the Awake trailer is the next logical progression.
Yeah, we got a couple of different TV spots previous to this and then kind of during the World Series, but the last trailer we got on the last night, the Awake trailer, was different than all the rest, because the others were mostly just kind of like cut up pieces from the regular trailers and the behind the scenes and the what do you call it, the teaser trailer. Weren't really anything special or unique, but this Awake trailer had a bunch of new footage comparatively and really compelling stuff.
They were so quiet about it. I don't think anyone knew it was coming.
Nobody knew it was coming.
I mean, they've been doing Star Wars trailers through the World Series the entire time, which I know as I'm an Astros fan and I was watching Go Astros, World Series champions, what? And so I was watching all the time, and I kept seeing, like, Star Wars trailers, and, you know, I remember looking down at my phone and hearing that little cello at the start of the trailer and just looking up like, oh, hey, trailer, and just seeing how different it was, like, oh, man.
My friend messaged me. She's like, trailer during the World Series. And my response was, sports ball! And then I spent, like, frantically minutes trying to find it on YouTube and finding it, and finally they tweeted about it, and I watched it, and I started jumping up and down at the end, so, like, literally jumping up and down, screaming yes.
Before we started actually recording, I was telling Amber that I saw it because I'm an addict, and I browse through Tumblr usually before I even get out of bed in the morning after my alarm goes off, and I believe I saw Amber post about it on Tumblr. I'm like, new trailer? What's this? So I play it, and it's like, oh.
I really want to say, I'm pretty sure I was the first person to post about this trailer on Tumblr. I'm not totally sure, but I'm pretty sure.
We'll say you are.
Well, it's because I just posted, like, a text post about it while other people were, like, looking for the video.
Yeah.
And also, like I said, I was watching the World Series, so. Oh, it was very exciting. So first off, in the Awake trailer, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, TV spots are released with titles, basically. There was other ones called, like Destiny and stuff like that, maybe?
Yep.
Yeah.
But this one was specifically called Awake. So if you want to go search for this trailer on YouTube, you would search for Last Jedi TV spot Awake. So there you go. That's some knowledge for you.
It's on Star Wars' official YouTube channel if you want to look it up. But yeah, so what do you think of that, like, opening scene with Luke on the Falcon? Like, old grumpy Luke.
So first thought, because he's wearing, like, a dark hood, my first thought was Kylo? And then, you know, I realized it's Luke, and I'm like, oh, look at him. It was a lot more ominous than it was. Like, when we got that shot of Harrison, of Han, you know, going into the cockpit for the first time in however many years, it was, like, magical, and it felt right, and there was something so nice about it, and this one just felt sort of ominous and dark.
It feels secretive. Like, it feels like he's not supposed to be on the Falcon when he's on it. It feels like he's creeping around. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll say, like, Jen brings up a good point, because people are speculating that this is when Luke leaves Ahch-To, and I don't believe Luke is leaving Ahch-To throughout the entire movie.
I'm sorry. No, sibling reunion.
I see, that's the thing, is I just feel like, I mean, maybe he does leave at some point, because he does have his X-Wing, you know, there. But the thing that's really the most interesting to me is that I feel like Luke has been removed from society for so long, and really it's only been like 6 or 7 years. I feel like he's been removed from society for so long, like he doesn't remember his sister all that well. He doesn't remember Han or Ben. Like, He doesn't remember the Falcon. And so, and I don't even know when Han lost the Falcon, so I don't really know how long it's been since he's seen it. But, like, it's kind of got that sort of like, oh, wow, I remember going on adventures in this thing 30 years ago sort of vibe to it, but, like, not in a happy sort of way, which is weird to me.
Like moroseful, or morose, for lack of a better word?
Yeah, I guess. It's because he's, like, turning it on with the Force. I'm like, what exactly are you doing, Luke? But it just feels like the Falcon looks grungier. Like, and I know it should because it's older, but it's, I don't know. I just get a really weird vibe from that shot, and I don't like it.
It feels very foreboding, is what it really feels like. And it feels very much like it's supposed to make you feel like Luke is out of place. Not that the Falcon is out of place, but that Luke on the Falcon is out of place.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Which I think is the point of the beginning of this trailer, is to show you that things are not as they seem, because you would expect Luke Skywalker going onto Falcon to be like, yay, this is where he's supposed to be, this is how it's supposed to go, but it's not. It feels awkward.
Do you think that Luke knows that Han is dead just by virtue of the Force, or do you think that's something he has to learn and realize when the Falcon shows up without him?
I think Luke knows, because Leia knows, and Leia is nowhere near as in tune as Luke.
But does Leia know, this was actually a point that I think I saw on Tumblr recently, does Leia know that Han is dead in that scene, or just is she told later, and the anguish that she's feeling is Kylo Ren's choice?
I don't know.
I think it's the latter. I really feel like what she feels is her son, not Han's death. Or maybe a combination of the two. Maybe she feels Han's death through, I'm going to go ahead and say, Ben's anguish over doing it. Because, I mean, you can tell just from the scenes after that and all these trailers that he's a wreck, man. He is not okay.
And nowhere in Bloodline does it seem to, or in any of the other new canon materials, does it seem to establish that Leia has that connection with Han. She can sense where Luke is. She can sense Ben in utero. So I don't think that she would be able to sense Han dying. I do think it's more her familial connections, because she's hasn't grown up with, she's grown up with the Force, but she hasn't grown up really knowing what it meant. So sensing family is going to be easier for her, whereas sensing, her estranged husband, where she's surprised to see him sort of on Takodana, it is different than, okay, my son is on that ship going through his phase, but he's there and I can sense him, and oh God, what did he do?
Yeah. That's where I'm kind of at. Like, I feel like maybe it's a combination of the two. Like, she feels like a strong ripple of the dark side in her son, maybe, or the light side taking over. I can't really be sure, to be honest, because I really don't know what they're doing with him. But, like, I don't know. If they can feel all those people on Alderaan dying, I'm sure it's not being disconnected in the Force. It's the loss of significant life within the Force. And I'm a big believer in the idea that Han was a lot like Chirrut in the sense that the Force just kind of worked for him. And so maybe the Force did kind of have a significant connection to him and just kind of alerted Leia what happened. But
well, I mean, Han always denied the Force as a bunch of mumbo-jumbo, but it ruled every aspect of his life, from his marriage to the kid.
Yeah, and I mean, even before that, he was a better pilot than he should have been. I think that has a lot to do with the Force maybe working its way through him.
I would definitely agree, and if it's not canon, it's my head canon.
I love that, and I kind of love the idea of little Ben Solo knowing he's more in tune to the Force than his father, and being like, well, I'm a better pilot than you, and trying to outdo him. And that's where it's, his ship, the Silencer, can do the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs.
Do a spin. That's a cool trick.
With the dead inside look, I'm like, oh, I love it.
he doesn't even have like baby Anakin, and like he doesn't even have like the joy from doing the spin. He's just like straight out like 1,000-yard stare.
He's just like
just flipping his ship.
It's spinning and all that's playing is my old friend.
That's exactly what it is, man. It's crazy.
And I love it because it's just like so you can see what the ship is doing, and everybody in the theater is probably gonna be like, yeah, and you see Kylo Ren being like,
oh, what was it in the Crack trailer? All around me are familiar faces.
That's what it is.
But yeah, getting back on topic. The next scene that really strikes me in this Awake scene is, or the Awake trailer, is Snoke's throne room, where it's clearly from Kylo's perspective because Hux is there turning around to like look at the camera. So you know it's Kylo like walking towards, and then you've got like weird like torture chairs and shit like on both sides of the room. You've got the Praetorian guards. You've got these. Did y'all see the discourse on these weird like black figures in this scene that are clearly moving, but like
Oh yeah.
nobody knows what they are? They're just scary as shit, and they kind of remind me of the like spirits from Ghosts that come and collect the bad guy.
Yeah, I've seen people call them like Praetorian Jawas, for lack of a better word.
I accept it.
I have not seen
Also, someone suggested that there were only 5 Praetorian guards, but you can see from this shot that there's at least 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 at the very least. I want to say 9.
Yeah, I count at least 8. There might be one behind that really weird-looking apparatus thing on the right.
Yeah, I don't really know what any of that stuff is, but it is interesting. Yeah, so I think there's more Praetorian guards than people are assuming. Like, we're getting 5 in the like promotional marketing and stuff like that, but there's more. God, Hux's smug little face though, like I just want to punch him.
It's a Space Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz is my senator, so don't do that to me.
I'm sorry, no disrespect to Donald because he's awesome, but Hux is a little
Not
turd.
my senator. Vote for Beto. But yeah, Hux is like smug little face. I hope he dies.
I wouldn't mind. I mean, I wouldn't if he died in this one, fine, and you know, Donald's joking about being in the third one. But if he dies in the third one, I'd be like, yes, good.
Well, I just want him to die by Kylo's hand, because that's the thing is, I think everyone kind of has their own antagonist. Like, yes, you know, you have like the good guy trio, which I guess is Rey and Finn and Poe, but like the narrative trio of this story is Rey and Finn and Kylo. And I believe that all 3 of them have their own antagonists. And I think that Rey's is Luke, and I think that Finn's is Phasma, and Kylo is Snoke, maybe, and maybe Hux. But I really want Kylo to be the one to kill Hux.
I wouldn't mind Kylo killing Hux as Rey is killing Snoke.
I guess I don't really want to count Luke as one of the antagonists. Like, he is an antagonist, but I don't think he's necessarily like the someone's got to kill him by the end of the trilogy antagonist, because I don't want one of our heroes to kill Luke Skywalker, even if he is dark.
Exactly.
Well, even if Luke dies, it won't be in this one. If Luke dies, it would have to be in 9 because Carrie passed in 8. So they're going to need a legacy character to, you know, not saying that they need the legacy characters to tell the story, but they kind of do to a certain extent because they're so tightly interwoven with the narrative.
Well, and I think that's something that makes the sequel trilogy work at times a little bit more than the prequel trilogy, because you are introducing to all of the old fans their favorite characters now grown up, like in quotations, all grown up, and they can make that connection. They can see that. Whereas we can't do so much of that with the prequels, except for Obi-Wan and I guess, well, and Anakin. So it's a backwards connection, whereas this is a forwards connection.
Did anyone ever confirm exactly how Carrie, like when Carrie when Leia is going to die? Because I thought someone said that they were wrapping up her storyline, but not necessarily that she was going to die in this one.
I don't think they're going to kill her off. I have a feeling what's going to happen is they're going to make some comment about Leia is going to need to step down and step away and take some time. Maybe want to like live out the rest of her life. And if her son so chooses to come and see her, she will not be opposed to it, but she cannot be in the resistance anymore because of whatever reason. Might be that Amy Lynn Holdo brings up yet again that she is Darth Vader's daughter. And
well, I mean, but do we know that that's what Holdo is going to be doing to her?
We have no idea what Holdo is going to be doing.
Yeah, like they've been very, very quiet about Holdo, and I've read speculations that Holdo is going to like sow the seeds of distrust because of the bloodline revelation that Leia lied about who her parents are or purposefully withheld. But I can't see Holdo doing that, having read Leia, Princess of Alderaan, because Holdo is very open-minded and very a little quirky, but really different, really like non-judgmental, and like just because this person is your biological father, that doesn't mean that you're bound to repeat the same mistakes that he did.
And so Holdo, she could also just say it sort of without meaning to make it a bad thing. Like, you know, you're not your father. You're not Darth Vader. And be like, you're not, and it's not like you're related to Kylo Ren. We don't know if the galaxy knows she's related to Kylo Ren.
Yeah, well, and the thing is like, we know at some point that she slaps Poe, right?
Yes.
Oh.
I wonder if maybe he accidentally brings something up and it upsets her, and then she just kind of sits there and she's like, oh, okay, well, clearly I can't make good decisions for the Resistance because I'm biased because of my son. And maybe, yeah, she does take a step back to be like, you know, maybe I should retire.
Maybe Holdo says something about what they should do if, you know, they were to capture people from the First Order, and she brings up Kylo Ren as an example, and Leia just vehemently objects to whatever she says, like, no, you don't know what's going on with him, you don't know anything about him, he could be being manipulated, and it like starts going on a rant. Everybody just sort of looks at her, and she has to take a step back and be like, I am too emotionally involved in this.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, there's no way she can be impartial to it. Like, as strong as Leia is, and I think it's clearly established that Leia is the strongest character emotionally, and she's been through like more shit than anyone, and she's still good, and she doesn't let it corrupt her. So I think it makes sense that she is unable to remain impartial about her son.
Are we gonna get her saying the Luke line of "There's good in him"?
I mean, she already has.
That's true, but are we gonna get her to say it around not the baby daddy?
You know, who knows? I just don't know. I mean, because pretty much every time someone from that lineage says that there's still good in someone, they're right. You know, Padme said that there's still good in Anakin. Luke said there's still good in, you know, Vader. And so I just feel like Leia saying there's still good in him, I know, or there's still light in him. I just feel like that right there has to set up the pattern, you know? Like if her mother and her brother have both been right about someone's inherent light, like she's got to too. We can't have Leia be the one who's ignorant and naive.
Well, someone asked Pablo that, and Pablo's response was, I think it's best to take Leia's word.
I mean, she's known him she's the person that knows him the best, literally since before he was born. And I will bring this up yet again. She's felt that conflict in him for his entire existence as a person, basically. I'm like, I don't know how to put the in utero stuff, because it's clear that she's far along in the pregnancy to the point where it's a boy. We know that, and is feeling things with the Force and can move around.
I don't know. It makes Snoke all the more creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. What were we talking about?
The Awake trailer. We still need.
So the next thing from the trailer that I thought was kind of interesting was these two happen really close together, but we get a new shot of Leia, which is cool. She's wearing her like awesome outfit on the ship, and unlike the other one, unlike the other one from the trailer, where it seems like she's like sensing Ben or Kylo Ren, and she's the only one who's like aware anything is happening, because the people in the background are just kind of walking by like, oh, no big deal. This one actually seems to have like panicked people in the background, as she seems to be sensing something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next shot after that is the Falcon exploding from the ground beneath Crate, which looks awesome.
Yes.
It looks so good, and we don't know who's piloting it at that point. Is that where then it's going to be Chewbacca and the Porg doing their thing, or is it going to be Luke? Is it going to be Rey? Is it going to be someone else?
I don't know, but they keep on teasing us with the flying Falcon. I'm like, who's piloting it? Because there needs to be a pilot and a co-pilot, and Chewie is in the co-pilot seat. So who is in the pilot seat?
Spoiler.
I don't know. I think it is really interesting that they're not showing it.
Because you know who it is? BB-8.
Yeah! And then the next shot we get is the one that we already saw of Luke laying on the ground in the rain, saying, this is not going to go the way you think. And we immediately get a shot after that of Rey lifting her lightsaber in a threatening position. However, the stunning people of Tumblr have actually pointed out that the way she moves in this shot is kind of awkward. But somebody reversed the shot and it looks a lot more natural. So the shot we're actually probably getting in the movie is Rey lowering her saber.
Well, and it goes more with like the very beginning, where you hear her kind of angry grunting when she's doing her lightsaber moves. Like she's,
yeah.
I'm like that. I don't know how to best describe it. She's like, ah.
Yeah, I actually thought it was interesting that they put in those angry grunts into the trailer, because I think that suggests that perhaps she is a little frustrated with someone's lack of training her, which I think could definitely be cause for her to maybe turn on him or abandon him.
Well, it's been clear that Luke is not who we think he's going to be.
I mean, I think he's going to be who I think he is.
Like grumpy old
Which is
Luke?
to say,
or Darth
a
Luke?
curmudgeon who refuses to get involved because he messed up one time and he can't handle it again.
Now there's this child on his lawn.
I need you to teach me the ways of the Force. Oh, no, not this shit again.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
Kylo's going, I got it!
Love me, choose me, love me.
So, no. The thing I think is interesting about the idea that she's actually probably lowering the saber is that we know from various leaks and spoilers and stuff that her and Kylo Ren have a rematch in the rain. And so I think this may be a moment where they intercut different scenes where Rey bests Kylo Ren again because he's not really trying to fight her, and she lowers her saber. and then perhaps the staff is used for Luke later.
Oh, and it's piecing together scenes at this point, and it is a lot of, what is she wearing in this scene? Is her hair up? Is her hair down? Does she have this on? Does she have that on? And I think Disney is and Lucasfilm are very careful with the scenes they're splicing through, because now we see her with the lightsaber with her hair half down.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And that we also see her with her staff charging forward and going down with the hair the same way in the same outfit.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, because we see her training with her hair up, wearing that outfit. And then in that scene, she's got her hair half down, wearing the same outfit. So we know that this is the start of her third act uniform, just by virtue of her hair.
Yeah.
And so I guess it's just kind of like a big question mark as to why is her hair down? Does it happen in the fight against Kylo Ren, maybe? There's just so much, and I'm so intrigued. And does anybody notice that her blade is, like, more tapered than blades tend to be?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I've always seen them, like, she's got very much more of, like, a sword than, like, the others. Because the others I've always seen have been more, like, just slightly rounded or squared off. And this one is very much like the point of a sword.
I'm wondering how much of that might also be technology advancing.
Well, that's the thing, is even if technology does advance, you don't want to, because this is still the saber from 50 years ago, 55 years ago.
There have been tweaks.
And so,
I mean, you can actually, like, pull screenshots of this saber throughout time, and it's changed. They're not using the same masters.
Well, and somebody was saying that it looks like Rey has modified this saber herself. There's like a white, I don't know, people were suggesting that she actually has a saber that looks more similar to Palpatine's now.
The only thing that I can think of like that is I was literally standing next to a standee of the third act outfit while taking pictures a couple weekends ago, dressed as Rey, holding the Disney park saber. And the way that I was holding it in reference to the standee was not accurate. Like, the saber in my hands that's supposed to be screen accurate was not matching the saber that was in that picture.
Yeah, there's a lot of mystery surrounding this saber, and I don't know what's up. Like,
well, you were telling me
very intriguing.
You were telling me before that people were speculating that Anakin's saber, Rey's saber, it's Rey's saber at this point, is starting to crack and not have a steady stream or steady blade, similar to Kylo.
People were saying that her saber is crackling in this scene, but I think that would be awesome. I just don't know if it's because of the rain or not.
Yeah. I could definitely see that if it was because of the rain.
Because I think, doesn't Obi-Wan's crackle on Geonosis? Not Geonosis, the water planet.
Camino,
yes.
I think it does.
But we were talking beforehand about how if it is crackling, that's an interesting concept, because there's a chance that Kylo Ren's crystal is cracked because of his raw power, because we saw how Rey cracked the ground. What if channeling your force power into your lightsaber cracks your crystal? And so, what if Rey does that, and much like she cracks the ground, she cracks the crystal, and that's what happened with Kylo Ren's saber as well.
That, I think, would be interesting, because it's Anakin's saber that passed down to Luke, that called to Rey, that potentially Ben Solo used because it called to him. And if her power is so strong to overwhelm it, to have the crystal be like, I'm done, I'm cracking, I've done.
I just like the idea of Rey destroying this cursed saber, clearly.
And it is. It's fairly cursed.
Anakin fucks up his entire life on Mustafar with this saber. Luke loses a hand using this saber. Also, did you guys see the discourse about how Rey is clearly evil because she's raising the saber that cut off Luke's hand to him, and that's got to be super triggering, and how could she ever?
I did not. I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah. There is some there's some pretty significant anti-raid discourse right now, and I'm just, like, I'm waiting for, like, Raylo to start getting shipped by the aunties out of, like, well, they deserve each other.
They're two horrible people, and clearly they just want to, like, trigger Luke the entire time.
Finn deserves better than her.
I mean,
Finn's gonna get with Haldo. I don't know. But you know, while we're on that subject of cracking crystals and whatnot, and how, you know, it's potential that Rey may be cracking her own crystal right now, and that Kylo Ren may have cracked his crystal. The Luke Skywalker Funko Pop has a red kyber crystal necklace, and you know, it's confirmed to be like a part of his costume and stuff like that in the actual movie. But the thing I was noticing when I was actually looking at the Funko Pop is that it's not like, you know, Jyn Erso's kyber crystal. It's broken. Like, the one around Luke's neck is broken, like, in half. And so I kind of had this speculation, and I think, Jane, weren't you saying about how Kylo Ren had the only, like naturally red crystal?
Yeah, it was in the Force Awakens visual dictionary. There was a little blurb about it that talks about how Kylo actually has a naturally occurring red crystal.
Because he's our extra little baby. So I, you know, the speculation kind of popped into my head that perhaps the crystal that Luke wears around his neck is the other half of Kylo's naturally red crystal. And that Kylo used the other half in his saber, which is why his is crackly and unstable and requires the cross guards.
I like that. I think that would be a plot vehicle to get Kylo onto Ahch-To.
Like his saber called out to the other half of his crystal, or?
Yeah, I mean,
why else would he want to find Luke Skywalker? I mean, he's clearly bested him. He's more powerful, in quotation marks, than Luke. So why is he obsessed with finding him? It doesn't sound like he wants to kill Luke Skywalker. He just wants to find him, which means it's something about Luke is something that Kylo wants. And if it's the other half of his crystal to maybe make his blades not need the crossbars, that would be...
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's all really, I don't know. I've kind of grown really attached to this, like, kyber crystal theory. I might actually write a meta about it on Tumblr. But speaking of metas, did you guys see that speculation that Kylo Ren accidentally blew up the Academy?
No. I've seen the one where the other students turned on Ben when it was revealed that he was the grandson of Vader and he had to defend himself, but I haven't seen the one where he blew it up accidentally.
Yeah, this was proposed by, originally this was proposed by Star Wars Nonsense on Tumblr. And it was after watching the you know, main trailer and whatnot, when, she realized that the shot of Luke is him under a bunch of rubble, which doesn't really happen in the event of a fire. So she's speculating that what actually happened was an explosion at the Jedi Temple. And after the whole line about the raw power and stuff like that, the theory goes, Ben got news that his grandfather was Darth Vader and that he'd been lied to this whole time. He was so overwhelmed with emotion that he's been trying to repress his emotions. And when that happened and he figured out that he'd been, like, betrayed by his whole family this entire time, he lost control of his emotions, ended up blowing up the entire academy. He killed all of the younger students in the explosion, but Luke survived because naturally more powerful. And so, you know, when Ben Solo realized what he'd done, he was like, crap, I'm evil now. You know, Snoke was telling me about the dark side in me is true. Like, I just killed everyone. And he, like, runs off because of it. But people also suggest that perhaps he tried to save the other people in the academy first, and that's why he covers his arms so much, because they're, like, covered with burns from trying to save other people. And that So anyway, he runs off to, like, go find Snoke because he's like, hey, Snoke, I need to figure out how to, suppress my powers. This is awful. And Snoke's like, yeah, sure, I can totally help you. And obviously he's not helping him. But Luke, when he sees the destruction and he can't find his nephew anymore, he assumes that it was intentional and that he's evil. And so it's just been kind of a lot of misinformation and bad communication on all sides.
That would be brilliant. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I've really I've developed such an attachment to that theory that I love it.
I would love
because it would still.
I would love the fact that basically the entire thing could have been solved by a family dinner.
Yeah.
Like Leia sitting them down, just be like, Ben, did you blow up the temple and do all that on purpose? No, Mom. Luke, are you sorry? Yes, Leia.
Right.
I would love that.
What I really like about it is that it doesn't remove Ben Solo's responsibility and culpability in killing all of the Jedi. And so it doesn't, like, absolve him in that way, but it also doesn't make it so intentional. Now, obviously, he had the choice to commit atrocious acts after the fact, but the initial thing is obviously maybe not his fault entirely.
And then it's the way that Snoke would spin it. What if, even after that, he still didn't think it was his fault, but Snoke spins it in his brain that, like, no, you did that to become more powerful, to show that you were better than them, and twists his mind entirely. So, yeah, he does think he did it on purpose, and that means that all of his subsequent actions are justified.
Yeah, I definitely can see that, and that's what I like about this theory, man, is that it just shows how, like, one thing can just completely ruin everything for everyone.
Especially, like, not being told the truth and not having that supportive communication from the people who should tell you the truth.
Yeah,
for sure. Who should be there for you. And you already had Han, who was running off and being a space race mentor, rather than actually taking that time and energy into his own kid. He mentors other kids that were Ben's age. You have Leia, and it's pretty established that Leia did Leia. She did politics. Luke was busy finding old Jedi lore, and Ben was just kind of left there and was told to deal with it.
Yep.
Let's see, like, in addition to the Awake TV spot, we've also gotten a couple interviews. The most interesting two that we found are an interview with Adam Driver from GQ magazine. And he says an interesting quote in it that has the internet all in a flame. And it's a quote about a princess in space, and I have it up here. It says, quote, "You have also the hidden identity of this princess who's hiding who she really is so she can survive, and Kylo Ren and her hiding behind these artifices," Driver says, apparently dropping a massive revelation about Rey's origins. And everyone is going, oh my god, it means Rey's a princess, she's a Palpatine. And that's not really what the article says at all.
People are also suggesting that means that, Rey is Kylo Ren's little sister.
It's an interesting quote, but I feel like even when I read it, I'm like, this has been taken out of context. This has been taken out of context. And I think when I initially read it, the next part was talking about Carrie. So I assumed it was sort of talking about Leia.
See, Leia makes sense in the sense that from Bloodline we know that, Leia was a princess who was hiding who she really was to protect herself. So the line made sense. And then I thought if it was somehow about Rey, it was metaphorical, since JJ described Rey as a princess figure, a Cinderella and whatnot. But then the actual article came out, and it turns out that they had been discussing the Kurosawa film that originally inspired Star Wars, which is The Hidden Fortress, by the way. And in that movie, you have a princess who's literally disguising herself and hiding herself to protect herself. And so I think more than likely they were still talking about the Hidden Fortress, or at least Adam was, and the interviewer was just like, that's an exclusive, that's a spoiler, that Driver just spoiled this. Ray's a princess.
I could feel like he got really excited, and then the second that Lucasfilm was like, yes, you can print this, I almost hope his heart sank, or he just went, oh. That moment wasn't a huge spoiler because I don't think Lucasfilm would let anything that was a huge spoiler print. And I wonder if Adam had said anything else that they're like, no, you cannot print this. Like this part cannot be printed. And here's your NDA, you cannot talk about it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I think I'm at with it, is that I think Adam speaks very deliberately, and so I don't know that he would spoil something like that. Like, we saw in interviews that Daisy sits there and she'll talk and then just like cover her mouth like, I shouldn't have said that. Adam, on the other hand, is very careful about the things he says.
He's a Scorpio.
I played Tim the Hutt.
He sends pictures of his food to his mom. It's the weirdest things that I remember. It's like, this is what he does, and I was like, okay, fine. And now looking back on it, I'm like, I think these are all things that Adam Driver does think Kylo Ren secretly does.
Kylo wouldn't like those chips.
No, he wouldn't. But would he secretly send pictures of food to his mom? You bet he would.
The Daisy and Adam interview is just really cute because, like, you can tell that they... And the thing that I think most of us have really pulled from this interview is the fact that they have a really good rapport together. Like, they seem to get along really well, and it's inferred that they spent a lot of time together filming. As someone who's been interpreting this movie as the Rey and Kylo Ren gray extravaganza, it's nice to get that kind of confirmation that they do spend a lot of time together, so much so that they became besties. Their words, not mine.
It's good to know that that's a thing, and also it's kind of interesting to hear about their personalities, because you have Daisy being like, I'm so nervous all the time, I don't open up to people that easily, which I think everybody was kind of ascribing to just Adam Driver out of all of his interviews, oddly. Whereas he's like, yes, and I do, and I sit down with people, and after 5 minutes, I'm like, so tell me about your relationship with your mother.
But yeah, I think one of the most interesting things that we could really glean from this interview is the fact that we know that Adam refused to go out to eat for lunch with Mark because he's a method actor and he didn't want to develop a rapport with Mark in that way because he knew that they were supposed to be antagonists. What's interesting, though, is that he and Daisy clearly did not have that same barrier to each other, which means, I mean, to me, I can only interpret that just, as that they actually do have a rapport together, and so Adam did become close to her because Rey and Kylo Ren will become close in the movie.
Well, it also coincides with those pictures that we got way back when they were filming in Dingle, I believe, in Ireland. And yes. I think they were drone pictures. It was either drone pictures or drive-bys. But there were a couple photos of a very, very tall guy, and Adam Driver's a very, very tall guy, with what looked to be Rey. And they were standing next to each other. And if he wouldn't even have lunch or dinner with Mark, then explain why he would be all chummy with Daisy in between takes. You know what I mean?
It's I think it's really interesting because people can like make excuses for it and say like, oh well, he just hates Mark or something like that, or
Mark?
Well, he doesn't hate Mark. That would be the stupidest thing in the world. And people can say like, oh, well, he spent, time with Daisy, like naturally they would get to know each other, or maybe they became friends afterwards. But like the actual article talks about how she would show up on set every day and do his hair.
I love that too.
And so, I know, it's so fucking adorable. And so it's one of those things where, like, you can just tell that something is going to go down with Rey and Kylo Ren, where they end up on the same side, because Adam, a method actor who won't even accept a hug from John Boyega.
Whereas he will let Oscar Isaac come up behind him and do a prom picture with him.
Well, that's different. That's the red carpet versus the set. Which, by the way, the idea that John Boyega was able to attack him on set bodes really well for my whole Kylo Ren is on crate theory.
I mean, I do hope that happens. And I also kind of hope that it was like, so John Boyega knows that, like, there's going to be this big, huge scene coming up that's super intense and everything, and he's trying to kind of lighten the set for a little bit and just, like, runs up and hugs him and be like, I'm so glad you're coming to the Resistance, buddy! And I could just picture Adam Driver, like, still stiff as a board, like,
Patrick Stewart style acting.
Yes. Acting.
Oh, I need to see this. I need to see this movie. I need answers. There's so many questions, and I need answers.
We can officially say that The Last Jedi comes out next month. I'm so excited. Like, we're getting so much media now. Like, there's articles that came out that we just don't really have time to talk about. And so it's really exciting just because we're, like, really getting inundated with this. But yeah, is that all we really want to talk about with the media that's come out in the past couple weeks?
I think so. I think there's a lot that's come out. I think there's a lot to come because we haven't even entered the talk show season.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited because I literally, working at a TV station, I get to watch all of the daytime television that they bring people onto. And so I'm like, I'm going to watch you on Kelly. I'm going to watch you on GMA. I'm going to watch you on Ellen. I'm going to watch you on every single show. No, it's going to be so good, and I'm so excited.
I'm just so excited for Stephen Colbert to start interviewing again because he'd be like, nerd! I love being a nerd!
Yeah, I guess that's really all we have to say. Just as a heads up / reminder, we've really only got a couple more episodes left because we're going to, we've got a shipping episode coming up, and we've got an episode on music coming up, which will be fun. And then the last episode we're going to do before we kind of sign off for a while is a little time capsule episode. We're going to talk about what we think is going to happen in the movies, and we'll revisit it, after we see it. Kind of the bad nature about doing a podcast is that you kind of have to keep up with the spoilers and the news and stuff like that. And when you get closer to the end or to the release date of a movie you're really looking forward to, you kind of stop wanting to be spoiled. You start wanting to kind of hold back from the media to surprise yourself when the movie actually comes out. I know myself, I am turning off my mobile data and my Wi-Fi starting December 8th because I don't want to hear anything, and that's when the premiere is, so that's when all of the leaks are going to start coming out, and I don't want to hear any of it.
Kind of on that, potentially at the premiere, you will be able to talk about it after that because there's going to be journalists there, and they're going to be writing the reviews already, so there will be potential spoilers on the internet as early as the 9th.
Yeah, so if that's why I'm just going to stay away from the internet entirely after that date, because I personally don't want to hear anything official. And so, dear listeners, if that's something you're wanting to avoid too, I would also get off the internet starting, December 8th.
I was just going to piggyback off of you and say, as of December 8th, I am staying off of all social media, all of it, because I had episode 7 spoiled for me, and I do not want episode 8 spoiled for me. It's something very different, like leading up to it, but after it comes out, knowing this is what's going to happen, You don't want to ruin that for yourself, and you don't want it to ruin it for everyone else.
Oh, yeah. Speculation versus knowing definitively what happens in a movie is two completely different things. And so, like, that's just a beast I'm not really interested in delving into. So, yeah, after I want to say, I don't know when our last episode will come out, our time capsule, but after that, you probably won't see us for a couple weeks as we kind of take in the movie and probably see it 9 or 10 times just so we can come back and give you guys a good review. So just kind of expect that. So yeah, I guess that's all the news in Star Wars and all the news with us Council of the Whills that we've got time to talk about today. Anything else you guys want to say since I've been absolutely dominating this?
At the end of the year, we are also looking to add iTunes to our venues for you listeners out there. So if you prefer to listen on your iPhone, iPad, iPod, MacBook, I know that iTunes usually has a much more easy to navigate interface. So we are working on getting that up and ready to go. And I'm also looking at getting us into, what's the Android version? Google Play, yes, Google Play. Getting our podcast up onto Google Play as well, so that we'll have SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, and Google Play.
And we're also kind of looking into some like podcast apps to see if we can get added to as well. We want to make sure that however you like to listen to podcasts the most, you will have it accessible to you.
So yeah, I think that that pretty much covers it. I guess until next week, I'm Jane.
I'm Jen.
I'm Amber.
And we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Laters.